Hello there, welcome to yet another episode of Beyond the Blackboard. In this episode, we're going to be talking about science practicals because they are incredibly difficult and confusing. And when it comes to the exam, normally a differentiator between the top grade students and the middle grade students. So using my science teaching background and tutoring knowledge, I've come up with a really easy and actionable system for you guys to remember all of those science practicals because there's a heck of a lot to remember, as well as actually understand and be able to apply it in an exam situation. So if that sounds useful, stick around for the video. And just before we get started on all that good stuff, if you'd like weekly videos every Thursday, 5 PM on study tips, getting into universities and building your careers in general, hit that subscribe button. And give this video a cheeky like to help it get out there. Okay, so science practicals, really fun while you're doing them, but very easy to get lost in what the actual point of them was. Really fun to squirt like distilled water into each other's pockets and blow up things. Put different chemicals in water like magnesium and it jizzes around the water. Great stuff, sticks with you, makes learning really fun. But converting that knowledge into the exam can be really tough, especially this year where a lot of you won't actually have done the practicals yourself, so you don't have that kinesthetic learning that happened. You have to kind of just think of the concept and remember how your teacher demonstrated it. And also, so long passes from when you originally did the practical to when you have to actually come and revise it. So by the time it gets to revision season, like now, you sit down, look at your textbook, and you get something that looks a bit like this, which is basically just a big wodge of information that your brain has absolutely no way of digesting. It's just a list of facts. Think of this amount of information like a massive roast dinner, and you need to find a way of digesting that roast dinner in order to actually get the nutrients from it. So how do you do that? Well, firstly, I'll tell you what not to do, and that's not to basically take direct notes in the form that it is on the textbook. So for instance, if you got 10 points on chromatography there or any other practical, don't write 10 points on an A4 bit of paper. Don't just copy and paste it. That's going to do nothing in terms of digesting that information for you to remember. What you need to do is look for the concept behind each practical. Have a look at this graph. Now basically this shows you the order at which your brain can intake information. So at the top you've got a generalization, so a vague understanding of what's happening in a topic. Then you've got the concept of what's going on. Then you've got the topic, and then at the bottom you've got the fact. Now a problem with a big list like this in a textbook and copying and pasting that is that all you're getting is the facts. You're not actually getting the concept and the understanding behind those facts, which is crucial for answering those trickier questions in the exam. So this is how you do it. How do you start with the concept rather than the fact? All I want you to do is follow this very simple system. Firstly, get a cue card and write down 3 titles on that cue card. Firstly, name. Secondly, why. Thirdly, what. And just space them out so you have enough room to fill them in later. Step 2 is then to fill out the why of the practical. Now this is something that really easily gets lost. In all the excitement of doing the practical and seeing an explosion, the main thing that students tend to forget and teachers forget is why they're actually doing this. What is this proving? If sodium fizzes around and ignites in water, what is that actually telling us? If iodine goes from orange to blue-black in a potato, what is that actually telling us? So get the reason for doing the experiment on the why first. That will give you the concept that we talked about before. Before any facts, before any random memorization, just get the concept. Now the next section is the what. Now in this section, all I want you to do is write down the 3 facts that you think you're likely to forget. The 3 key points, because usually in this massive wodge of information that you might have for a practical, there's 3 key points that will jog your memory so all of the others will fall into place. Let me give you an example. Again, going back to chromatography, I can remember the vague outline of what's going on in chromatography, and I've got my why of why we're doing it. It's a way of separating different soluble dyes. But there's some fiddly bits that I always forget. These fiddly bits going through are the fact that you need an insoluble pencil line, the fact that you need the solvent underneath that pencil line, and the fact that different solubilities of dyes will move up the chromatography paper at different rates. Now these are the 3 key concepts that I am likely to forget that are all also probably going to inform my memory when I look at those 3 points as to what else is happening in that practical. And this leads us on to the next step, which is coming back later, once you've filled out all your cue cards, coming back to it a few days later and seeing whether you can actually remember from the why, from the what, those 3 facts, what is going on. Are you able to explain that experiment to your mum, let's say? If you can explain it to your mum with that little information, then great. It shows you that it's gone into your brain and you're not just reading it from a script. If you can't remember it from what you said, then what I'd recommend is then putting down maybe 2 more points or expanding on one of your whats, helping you to understand further. The really good thing about having them in individual cue cards is that you can literally just flick through them and then have all the practicals together, so they kind of get chunked in one place in your brain. And final step for checking that you fully understand those practicals is doing a past paper on them. Now, I personally think that practicals are some of the most challenging style of questions in the exam, because it asks you to take the information that you have on the practical and then apply it in a different situation, because they've made the practical slightly different to how you did it. Now, if you understand the concept behind what's going on, i.e. that why line, then that shouldn't be an issue, but you do need to practice it. I won't go into how to practice those types of questions in this video because it will be too long, but if you would be interested in some exam technique on those practical questions from a previous science teacher, please do let me know in the comments and I'm very happy to make it. Alright guys, so here's a summary of the system that I just talked about. Just follow it step by step, do it for all your practicals, and it should really help you. It certainly helped me. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a cheeky like. It really helps to get it out, and subscribe to this channel if you'd like more content like this. Until next time, see you later.